Hi Punit, and thank you for joining us. We look forward to hearing more about how you build KoinX. First, can you give us some background on your experience in the blockchain and crypto spaces?
Sure. So first of all, thanks to the Power to Fly team for inviting me. And so my blockchain journey, and it started back in 2017, wherein I got exposed to Bitcoin mining in Taiwan, and then came back to the country, worked on a couple of research projects around the healthcare ecosystem, pitched in an idea to the government of Rajasthan about integrating health insurance and blockchain. So that's how my journey started. Like government of Rajasthan sponsored a trip to San Francisco, where I got a global startup ecosystem exposure about how things work in the valley, how the companies are growing up there. This is back in 2018, and how the blockchain ecosystem is going around. And that's where it hit me hard that like blockchain is picking up across the globe, and there are a lot of companies that are building solutions for people around that. And India, on the other hand, was always a technical hub or a technology hub for providing services, for providing in solutions, for giving the technology backbone to any technology. But for blockchain, there were not enough people who understood about how to write smart contracts, how to code on blockchain. So that made me start a community initiative called Blockchain at India, where the idea was to help students learn blockchain right at their college level. So that's how my journey started in Anirudh. So I learned the blockchain the hard way by, like there was no course when I started learning about blockchain. So it was, through the white paper, Ethereum white paper, Bitcoin white paper, understanding it through them, and then decoding it for. I personally taught more than 7,000-8,000 people about cryptos and Web3. So decoding it for them about how that could be. So that's how my journey started.
Okay, it's a very interesting start of the journey. So when and how did you realize that calculating tax on crypto gains was complicated and that investors needed a tool?
Sure. So previous to this, previous to building Coinx, I was leading Crypto Relief Fund. So like if you remember the event that Vitalik Buterin, the founder of Ethereum, he contributed $1 billion in Shiba Inu tokens to help India fight COVID. So like I was leading that fund, helping in Sandeep deploy the entire funds that we had. So when I was managing a fund of about like $1 billion in crypto, almost $500 million in USD, I was exposed to regulators across the ecosystem, be it the crypto regulators or be it the regulators from the Indian government. And there, like we have had multiple conversations about, like how cryptocurrencies regulation would be, what are the way forward for the industry. And that is where it hit me that, like the way forward for the ecosystem is regulations, and taxations is starting stone for it. So then I looked at Acha, taxations are here now, but how will I calculate my portfolio's taxes? How will I do that? And when I was working on it, it hit me hard that this entire process cannot be manual. It cannot be solved manually. So what we are building is not a good to have product, but a must have product for all crypto investors, unlike in the stock market ecosystem. So that's where it hit us hard. And we realized that there are none in the country who are doing it, who are offering this. And there are more than 2 crore investors who have invested into crypto. So all of them are seeking for a solution around this. And without which, the industry cannot become responsible, industry cannot become compliant. So that was enough to motivate me to start something around. And that's the journey, we are at.
Okay, so along that thread, how exactly does KoinX work?
Sure. So, so people have their investments in cryptocurrencies either through exchanges or through peer-to-peer platforms or through, your decentralized wallets like your MetaMask wallet, Trust wallet and stuff. So what we have done is we have built a platform that allows the user to integrate all of these different modes of investments of his crypto into one single unified dashboard. So now imagine if an investor has a WazirX account, has a Binance account, and has a MetaMask wallet. So he would be able to integrate all of these 3 platforms on our dashboard, look at his 360 view of crypto investments, not only just his investments on WazirX, or not only just his investments on Binance, but both on WazirX, Binance, and the decentralized ecosystem. So once he integrates all of that on one single dashboard, we would be able to give him his net taxations that he has to pay across his crypto investments. So that's the product that we have built.
Okay, and on just probably related to that, so how would you navigate the changing tax laws? Because, for example, in India, the government has changed its stance on cryptocurrency more than thrice now. So I
Correct.
assume the tax laws change more often than that. So tell us about
We
those challenges.
Sure. Definitely. And so we assume a lot of more changes to come in. And hence, that's the beauty of the product architecture that we have built in. Everything is modular. So any changes that come in, like we proudly say that within 1 or 2 weeks, we adopt that and we reflect that on our dashboards and on the reports. So that modular, the software is, we don't have to build anything and everything from scratch again. So currently
Okay.
they don't allow to offset losses. Maybe in future they would. They might be charging 1% TDS as of now, but in future that might go to 0.1%. So all of these things is like entirely modular on our side as well.
Excellent. I'm sure our audience will be glad to hear that. And so tell us in terms of starting something new, being a founder, what was your experience? What was your process of acquiring backers? And what would your advice be to other founders when seeking further funding?
Sure. So one of the things that we did, Anirudh, was, like what we were building in. So this is very, like it's not a long journey that we have covered so far. Like we are a 3-month-old company. So, like for us, time was the essence. For us, what mattered was how quickly can we move in funds into the company, how quickly can we raise it so that we can deploy the teams and we can start building the product and then launch it at the month of July when people would be looking to file their taxes. So for us, speed was the key. We were looking at, how soon can we get into the fund so that that will be directly related to our timelines of launching the product and then taking it to the market. For example, just today we announced our product launch and, the first 500 waitlisted users got an access to the product. So now the entire July month, about 17 days that is left, people can just simply use our product to file their taxes. So in order to execute on that speed, we decided to go through angels and syndicates because they are mostly faster than VC funds. So we went in through the angels and syndicates from the crypto ecosystem first, who understood the problem so that, we do not have to even explain the problem to a random investor or, like a Web2 investor who does not understand the space. We directly went into the guys who were facing that problems, and the comments that we have received from 90% of our angel investors is we would be the first users of your product because there's no solution that exists into the ecosystem. So we directly went into the people who need this thing and they have the wherewithal to invest into the company as well. So that was the strategy that we picked on. And once we had these backers, like people like Ajit Khurana, people like Sandeep Nailwal, people like Naveen Gupta, who is the managing director of Ripple, 6th largest crypto in the world. When people like these backed up us, that's when, the Web2 guys not had to look at whether the problem is relevant or not. Then for what mattered to them was, getting into understanding the problem at a surface level, understanding about the need for such product and understanding how we are solving it, who are we, the team, and like the dynamics around, but not the problem, because problem part is now solved. So they are more looking into how we are solving it, what is the unique value that we are adding, and how clear are we with plans, what do we have on table. And basis on that, we were quite fast on executing it up, and within 3 weeks we closed in our round.
Okay, so if I were to summarize that, that would be the advice would be do something that nobody else is doing and do it fast.
That I think that depends on strategy. If I had to give in a general advice, so general advice for people would be, go to the people whom you trust and who understand your solution first. Get the initial set of backers because, like that trend follows it, to be very honest. So even if you just go to VCs, everyone likes to hedge their things, hedge their funds. So they would look at who else is backing you, who else is backing you. And now if you have your initial layer of backers ready, that's when it will become very easy for you to convince others to get into the board. So get into your first backers, try to convince them, put most of your time. So out of 3 weeks, the first 1.5 weeks, we only focused on 5 people. Now, when we got these 5 people on board, the rest 1.5 weeks, we got 35 people. So that was the strategy that we played on.
Nice. It's good to know. So we are hoping for a snowball, and of course, it's important that, like you said, there was nobody else in the space except you,
Right.
and your backers understood this in a Web3 sense. So you're not looking at your previously established, possibly the Web2 success stories, right? So, what is your vision for the future of crypto and the technologies like yours that will become necessary to support trading?
Sure. So I see future of crypto quite bright. So like it's the current market volumes might be the temporary phase down as the global standards are, but if we look at on a longer horizon of about 5 years, 6 years down, cryptos would be one of the things that people would be trading on, would be investing on. Like imagine in the early days of stock market, the 92 93 era for Indian stock ecosystem, how it was considered as a bubble then, but now has become a day-to-day activity for every investor. There are more than 6 crore investors who have invested into stock market in the country. So similar would be for crypto. Now people might be having a feeling that, hey, is it banned or is it legal? Hey, can I invest in crypto? Is it safe? Like questions like these would get answered with period of time, and the exchange and the ecosystem would evolve. When currently the user interface at most of the places is not adapt, so the user interface would improve, and a lot of these kind of things would come in place. And the future would be much more simpler, much more aesthetic, much more easy to use. And you would not even know that you are trading or you are executing things on blockchain, but it would be automatically executed around. I think that's the future.
Nice. That's very forward thinking, and hopefully we will get there. So, with the current downturn which you alluded to in the crypto industry, what do you feel about the general consensus among the public about how trust can be brought back into the ecosystem?
That's an interesting question. I think the way to bring back the trust is to, so again, considering or taking back to the 90s era, wherein a lot of scams are also happening in the Web2 space, in the internet ecosystem and things. But I think some of the established projects that will really solve in the use cases, and establish strong use cases. For example, different state governments are experimenting on land records on blockchain. So once these start getting implemented on, as a fact, 60% of India's jurisdiction, like the courts and the cases that are that ever get registered, and 60% of it as of now. So for example, if there are 1 lakh cases pending into the Indian courts, 60,000 of them are for land disputes. So now imagine if these start getting on blockchain, all of these disputes get resolved. So now the courts which are sucked up on their entire resources for land disputes, immediately 60% of the cases are now vanished. And the courts can be more efficient, then the turnaround times can be less, the execution can be fast. So I think with events and use cases like these that actually solve in real world problems, and not like something that is futuristic about maybe metaverse or a virtual land, but something that is immediately solving in a pain problem of a user. I think that's when people will realize, hey, this is the power of the technology. Let's trust it, and this is how it's solving our lives and making it easier.
Right. So you see the true potential as the auditable transaction logs of that blockchain offers
Right.
in general. It's not specific cryptocurrency, it's blockchain.
Correct.
Okay. And for someone wishing to start their Web3 journey, what would be your tips? Where should they get started?
Definitely not start with investing directly. Start with researching and start with understanding the technology. Cryptocurrency is just one side of things, so would not recommend anyone to just enter into to get a double their funds in maybe 30 days, double their funds in maybe a year. That's a very temporary motive or temporary advantage that you can get in from the technology. But someone, to actually understand about how the technology works, look at the real world solutions, real world problems, and see how can this technology solve those problems of the users. So that is something that can enter in. And like launching your own token, buying a new token, selling it off, these are all very temporary, like within a few period of time, we would not see these coming in.
Okay, and I just wanted to confirm something about Coinx. So your primary the primary service that's being provided is about tax and paying tax on capital gains.
Right.
In terms of trading, is it also a trading platform?
No, it's not a trading platform. So
Okay.
it's a platform that integrates with exchanges or trading platforms. So, we integrate with your trading platform, for example, Binance, and we allow you to import your transactions of Binance on our platform to calculate your taxes. So, like it can be capital gains, it can be your business income, depending on what type of nature of business or what type of nature of transactions it is. But we help you calculate your crypto taxes that net you have to deposit it to your income tax.
Okay, understood. So because in terms of business, some users could perceive it as a conflict of interest if you're also a trading platform
So
and
we are
a
not a
tax
trading.
calculator. Yeah. So that's a good clarification. Would you like to share with us your URLs and social links where our audience can find you and where they can get more information about CoinX?
Sure. So let me just share in my personal profile link and also the place where people can actually sign up. So onto the platform. So there it goes. Here is my personal profile link, and this is the link to the website of Coinx.
All right. So for our audience who probably wouldn't be able to read this, so it would be linkedin.com /in I am Punit. That is the main ID. IAMPUNIT. And the website is coinx.com. That's KOINX.com. And before we close things out, Punit, is there anything else you'd like to share with us?
I think that's primarily it, and anyone looking to understand their crypto taxes, the queries around. So we are quite active on our social medias, and like people can just post in their queries, and our team would be able to help and support them about that. So, and best part is we are not charging anything for this financial year, so it's free of use for anyone to calculate their crypto taxes, and the wait list is on, so people can just simply go and register in there.
Thank you so much for joining us. It's been great chatting with you and finding out more about this space.
Pleasure.